What's up everybody, we're back with another video, and today we're taking a look at Northgard, a city building real-time strategy game by Shiro Games. Northgard is a very interesting game that incorporates elements of 4X like Civilization into a real-time strategy game, with a little bit of survival mixed in. It's one of the most unique strategy games I've played in a while, and it's not just a clone of Civilization or Total War, but it has its own mechanics and gameplay that makes it different from any other. This will be an overview and first look of the game, along with some of my thoughts on how the game plays. Keep in mind that Northgard is in alpha right now, so content balancing and even systems will likely change. With all that said, let's get into it. Northgard was released back in February with only a single player option and just recently introduced multiplayer. It looks like they'll also be adding campaign in the future as well. There aren't too many map customization options available, and as you can see, you can only choose your map size, number of AI players, and your win conditions. There are currently 4 different factions or clans you can choose to play, and they'll be adding more in the future. Each clan has their own starting and fame bonuses that will dictate your playstyle, as well as the in-game tech that's specific to each clan. There are 4 different victory types: Domination, Wisdom, Trade, and Fame. Domination is achieved when you destroy all the other clans in the game. Wisdom is achieved by having 4 lore masters and retaining all 4 blessings, and this is similar to science or technology victories in other games. Trade victory requires amassing a certain amount of wealth, and Fame victory can be achieved by conquering lands and earning a name for your clan. There's also a 5th special victory condition, and to achieve that, you must find the gates of Helheim and control that tile for 12 months. Now that we understand all the victory conditions, we can choose our clan and get started. We begin with a single town hall and 3 villagers. The town hall will constantly produce villagers as long as we have enough houses to support them and our happiness is above 0. As you can see, Northgard uses a tile system, but it's different from games like Civilization or Endless Legend that also use a tile system. We begin on a single tile and we're trapped there until we start exploring other tiles. And tiles can only be discovered by scouts, which means one of the first things we need to build is a scout house. Most structures are built with just wood, one of the 3 main resources of the game, the other 2 being food and crowns. Food is used to sustain your villagers and buy tiles, while crowns are used for a few specific buildings, units, and can be traded for other resources at the marketplace. One of the things that makes this game feel really different is how the tiles work. Each tile can support a certain number of buildings and they have certain resources on them. You always begin on a tile that supports 5 buildings, and other tiles can range from 1 to 4. This tile system really limits on how fast you can ramp up your expansion, and sometimes it's honestly annoying if you don't plan things out properly. Sometimes you'll have a tile with 2 resources like deer and stone, and you're forced to build a hunter's lodge and a mine, and you won't be able to use the tile for anything else. Or you might even come across a situation where all your tiles are full and you need to build more housing. But until you can do that, until you can colonize another tile, you're stuck and stagnated until you claim another one. The system is not necessarily good or bad per se, but it's tailored towards a certain type of strategic playstyle, so your mileage may vary. Villagers are the lifeblood of your settlement, and in the beginning, they automatically begin gathering food by default. However, they can become anything else as long as you have the proper building to train them. In Northgard, rather than producing specific units, you actually convert villagers into whatever unit type you need, whether it's a builder, combat unit, or even resource gatherers. What's great about the system is that it's not permanent. You can assign and reassign villagers into any role you need at the moment. So if you're short on food, you can assign more villagers to gather food. You'll see why this might be important in a bit. The game incorporates a seasonal system, and it forms a main part of the survival aspect of the game. To be honest, not much happens during spring, summer, or fall, and they might change that in the future. But right now, it's really winter that you have to worry about. During winter, food and wood production is decreased drastically, while their consumption is increased, and this greatly strains your resources. You want to have a large stockpile of both food and wood before you get into winter, or you'll face starvation. I've lost a lot of my early games because I wasn't able to produce enough food before I got into winter, so be sure to focus on food and winter production early on. One of the more lackluster parts of this game is the combat. There honestly isn't much here at all. There's a total of 4 different unit types in the game, one of which you can't unlock until much later in the game. The main unit you'll be fighting with is the warrior, and it costs 30 crowns to convert a villager into a warrior, so it's more restrictive than assigning villagers to other roles. Most of the time you'll be fighting wolves or draugrs, or if you're going for a domination victory, warriors from opposing clans. It's mainly just a hack and slash fest, and it's really easy to win fights with a little bit of microing. You're also allowed to build 1 war chief, which is a much stronger version of the warrior. The 2 other unit types are the axe thrower, which is your basic range unit, and a shield bearer, which defends against ranged attacks. Combat in its current state really lacks any depth, and I hope to see more unit variation, combat styles, and even abilities in the future. One more thing I would suggest having is some sort of system to find your units. I often find find myself losing track of where my units are, especially after my settlement gets pretty big. And this is especially true for my warriors because I move them around a lot. Overall, I think the game is interesting and worth a try. There are definitely balancing issues that need to be sorted out, and certain clans definitely feel stronger than others. I didn't come across any bugs or glitches, and the game ran perfectly fine for me. For an alpha game, it's really polished, but I definitely think they need to add more structures, combat units, and tile types to increase the depth of the game. I would also like to see some aesthetic differences between the clans, because right now they all look the same in the game. Northgard is decent for what it is right now, but has the potential to become a really good game. It all depends on how much the devs are willing to put into the game, and from what I've seen, they're listening to the community feedback and they're pretty active, so I have high hopes. Thank you guys for tuning in, and if you have questions about the game, leave them in the comments down below and I'll try to answer them. You can follow me on social media through the links below and check out my other videos by clicking on the cards on the screen. That's all from me, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.